Hey guys, Tanner Lee here, of the Kicking Out podcast. Thanks for watching our video here on our YouTube channel. Make sure to like our video and hit subscribe if you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel here on the Kicking Out podcast. And if you are, make sure you have your notifications on. Hit that notification bell so you know whenever we're going live, which we go live every Sunday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or whenever some new content such as this video is dropping. And if you joined me, I should say, I was going to say us, but I was doing it solo. If you joined me on the All Out Prediction Show, you heard me say that I was hoping to introduce some new content to our channel. And one of those pieces of content is going to be this video. And I'm hoping this is going to become a regular series. We're going to at least try it out through the end of the year, through 2025, the rest of 2025, and see how you like it. But this is going to be my next champion series, or my Dethrone series. Basically, I'm going to go through each title in AEW. Not going to do the Ring of Honor titles just because, quite honestly, I don't follow the Ring of Honor product enough to feel like I can make good predictions on who's going to hold their titles next. But I'm going to go through each title in AEW, talk about the champion who's currently, or champions who's currently holding that title, and who I think will be the next champion in line, who will be the next person to dethrone their current champion. So right now we're doing this recording coming out of All Out, and I plan to do this after each pay-per-view before the next pay-per-view takes place. So right now, making my predictions coming out of All Out. And as we're going to be heading into Wrestle Dream here in a little bit less than a month, which is taking place on October 18th in St. Louis, the first time Wrestle Dream's not being held in the Pacific Northwest. But first, let's get right into it with Hangman Adam Page, the current AEW Men's World Heavyweight Champion. He dethroned Jon Moxley at All In back in July. He has successfully defended the title a couple times, including at Forbidden Door against MJF, and most recently against the Protostar Kyle Fletcher at All Out. And a heck of a match that you can definitely say is a match of the year candidate. I don't think it is my match of the year personally, but I think if I had to make a list of 5 to 10 matches that could be up for the AEW match of the year, it would be on that list, at least for me, but I don't think it is my top match. But nonetheless, very good match. They proved to me that they belonged in that main event slot on the All Out card, because going into it, I thought it was a good build for the little time they had to build that match going into the pay-per-view, but I still wasn't so sure if it should be the main event, with all the hype of the Cope Christian and FTR matchup going in, but then Tony Khan on the media call ahead of time announced that was going to open the show. So you figured the World Heavyweight Championship match would close the show, which I'm old school in that sense, to where I like to see my pay-per-views, or if we're going to go off a tangent, talk WWE, my PLEs as they call it. I like to see the World Heavyweight Championship, or the world title, I should say, close out shows. So whether it be a men's title or a women's title, I like to see that close out shows, unless it's a spectacle like a War Games or some kind of match like that. So with that said, Hangman has been the champion for 70 plus days now. He's one of the faces of the company, has been since AW's debut in 2019. This is his second stint in holding the world title. I personally kind of like Hangman better when he's the challenger, when he's chasing the title, than when he has it and he's defending it. But I think this reign will go better than his first title reign did, which really, looking back in it in 2021 and 2022, I thought his first title reign was pretty good. I thought he put on a lot of banger matches, but a lot of the IWC tends to disagree with me, which is fine. We each have our own opinions. But the big question is, who do I think is going to dethrone Hangman? And I think that answer is pretty simple. And I think most of these champions that I'm going to talk about are going to lose their championships by the end of 2025. So between now and World's End in December, I think MJF is your next world champion. Now, MJF is coming off a loss in a tables tax match against Mark Briscoe. in which I predicted MJF would win because I personally don't like to see my next world champion taking too many L's. But Mark Briscoe also needed a really big win on his resume in AEW. So MJF's got that contract that he can put in place at any time. I don't think he'll be the challenger at Wrestle Dream. Could be mistaken. I'm recording this before the Dynamite, the first post Dynamite after All Out takes place. So could look back and this could make me look like an idiot. But I don't think he'll be the challenger at Wrestle Dream. I see him being the challenger maybe at Full Gear or at World's End, if not at Full Gear. But I do think when MJF challenges Hangman, he will win the world title, have his second reign with his Triple B, and he is next in line to be the world champion. How about the Unified Championship, which has the Continental and the International Championship all into one, held by Kazuchika Okada, who had defeated Kenny Omega, his longtime arch rival, at All In back in July for that. I think this one's pretty cut and dry. We saw him defend it in a triple threat against Dorado and Konosuke Takeshita at All Out. And they're setting up that Takeshita-Okada feud. They're both in the Don Callis family. I think that is his next big title defense. Or his next big feud is with Takeshita, and I think Konosuke Takeshita is your next AW Unified Champion. He won the G1. He's going against Zack Sabre Jr. here coming up next month in October. Wouldn't surprise me if he wins the New Japan World title. Strap a rocket, this dude's back. He's the alpha for a reason. He's a superstar. He's got superstar written all over him. Big fan of Takeshita, and I think he'll be the next unified champion. The TNT Championship, held by the protostar Kyle Fletcher, who beat Dustin Rhodes in a Chicago street fight last month at the end of July on an episode of Collision. Nasty, bloody, graphic street fight, which was great. Usually here on the Kicking Out podcast, we're not fans of insert city name street fights, but that Chicago street fight was fitting for the Chicago residency and everything. Fletcher did not defend this title at All Out because, of course, he was going for Hangman Adam Page's AW World Championship. But if he would have been disqualified in that match, he would have lost his TNT title, but he didn't. I think he hangs on this title for a little longer. I mean, I think if he's to lose it by the end of 2025, it'd be World's End time frame. I've been on record saying I think he is going to be a world champion in 2026 at some time. I'm sticking to that. But as far as who I think will dethrone him and be the next TNT champion, this one's a little more difficult, I think, than the first two for me to predict. But being that Fletcher's a heel, I'm going to go with a baby face. How about Mark Briscoe? We just saw Mark Briscoe get his biggest win to date in his AEW career over MJF in that tables and tax match at All Out. I think him holding an AEW gold, singles gold for the first time would be very fitting. I think a TNT title, mid-level title would be good for him. And then let's see how he does with that before even thinking about putting him in the Unified Championship or maybe even perhaps the World Championship picture. But I'm going to go with Mark Briscoe. Of course, he's been a Ring of Honor champion under Tony Khan's realm, but has not held individual gold in AEW. So I'm going to go Mark Briscoe. But that one's a little tougher, I think. The World Tag Team Championships, held by Bandito and Brody King, the team of Brodito, very over with the fans. They successfully defended their titles at All Out in a four-way ladder match with Hechicero and Josh Alexander of the Don Callis family, Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight, Jet Speed, and Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks. Four-way ladder match, a lot of fun. They've held it for a little over a month now. They won it in August back at Forbidden Door in a three-way match with FTR, Cash Wheeler, and Dex Harwood, and the Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. Kind of a wonky finish, if you remember right, with them hitting a move and pinning FTR and kind of the botch pin and everything. But they're over. Another tough one to predict here. A lot of people could say go in the heel direction with the Young Bucks, could go with reunited team that we saw reform at All Out in the Jurassic Express and Jungle Boy Jack Perry and Luchasaurus, now that he ditched that Kill Switch name. I'm actually going to go with another new tag team here. Don't know how we get there, since this team looks like they're going to be a babyface team, even though we haven't seen them in action together yet. But you could do a multi-team match and take it off from that way, or maybe Brodito turns heel, or maybe this team I'm about to say turns heel. But I'm going with the team of Eddie Kingston and Hook. We saw Hook come to Eddie Kingston's aid after his return match at All Out, in which he defeated Big Bill, and he came to Eddie Kingston's aid to fight off Big Bill and Brian Keith. Two New York guys, kind of rough, rugged guys. One from Yonkers, one from Queens. Yeah, I don't mind this pairing, and I think the fans are gonna like it, like the pairing of these two. So why not? Why not put some straps on these guys? I mean, Eddie's held the Continental title. Hook's held the FTW title and the Trios title as part of the Ops, which he's obviously not a part of anymore. And I'll get to talk about that next. But so why not put the tag straps on these guys and see what happens? So go with Hook and Eddie Kingston for those. The Trios titles held by the Ops, Samoa Joe, Powers Hobbs, and Shibata. They've held these since back in April when they beat the Death Riders, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and John Moxley during Dynamite Spring Breakthrough. It was actually won by Hook instead of Powerhouse Hobbs, but Hook got concussion. So Powerhouse Hobbs took his spot. This is the toughest one to predict, I think, so far, because there's not a lot of trios out there to pick from. I guess you could say if MVP gets if MVP's in the ring more often, you could say the Hurt Syndicate. You could do a form of the Callis family. But I'm going to go with Ricochet and the Gates of Agony. Right now, their new names escaping me off the top of my head, but I'm going to go with Ricochet and the Gates of Agony. We saw them go over the Hurt Syndicate at All Out. Big win for Ricochet and the Gates of Agony too, but in particular for Ricochet, because I felt like a loss there maybe buries him a little bit. We'll see where that feud goes. That feud's honestly going to take off, but yeah, I think if you're going to have a babyface team like the Ops lose the trios, a heel team, as in Ricochet and the Gates of Agony, makes a lot of sense there. So that's who I'm rolling with. On the women's side, you got the AW Women's World Championship, just won by Chris Statlander, who dethroned Toni Storm, who had the belt since back in February. She dethroned Toni Storm and pinned Toni Storm in the match that involved Toni Storm, Jamie Hayter, and Tekla at All Out. Good for Chris Statlander, day one lady of AEW. I think she's going to hold the title for a little bit, but ultimately, I got two women in mind here. One being Willow Nightingale. There's a lot of history there. Partnership, feud. Been flirting with being the partners again. But I'm not going to go in that direction. I'm going to go with the second lady, and that is Mercedes Moné, the current TBS World Champion, which I don't see her dropping that TBS World Championship until she's surpassed Jade Cargill's run, which she's held the TBS Championship dating back to May 26th of last year when she won it over Willow Nightingale at Double or Nothing. But I think Mercedes is next in line for that world title. Now, whether that happens at Wrestle Dream, Full Gear, World's End, or maybe a Dynamite or Collision in between, we'll see. But I think Mercedes is your next women's world champion. She's been with the company for a while now. About a little over a year and a half. And she hasn't had a ring with the world championship. She's only went for it one time, and that was in a loss against Toni Storm back at All In. So she's definitely going to hold it. It's when, not if, and it's sooner rather than later. So I'm going with the CEO, Mrs. Mercedes Moné, to be the next AW Women's World Champion. Now, as for her TBS Championship, another tough one to predict here. We've seen her go through the gauntlet, really, and defeat every woman you can think of that's just trying to go for it. So there's a lot more candidates here, I think, though, to choose from, which makes it more difficult than the AEW Women's World title, in my personal opinion. And, Alex Windsor is one that comes to mind. Tekla, perhaps, except Mercedes is a heel, so maybe that doesn't make a lot of sense. Julia Hart, Sky Blue, Queen Emanata, Willow Nightingale, who's previously held it. So has Julia Hart. I just feel like there's nobody really on the level to take it off of her right now. So I'm gonna go. Once again, they would have to get this lady's title off of her, in my opinion. Even though Mercedes is holding 9 titles, so this lady could hold 2 belts. I guess it'd be fine. But I'm actually gonna go Athena. And maybe that's me more being hopeful because I want to see her be a more of a steady part of AEW instead of just on ROH. And she's held the ROH title for many, many, many days. I think it's well over 1,000 days now. So maybe she finally drops it to somebody like Billy Starks. Then her and Mercedes can crank up their rivalry, their feud. And she can take it off Mercedes. So I'm going to go Athena. But I have a feeling in my next video that I do next month, when I do one of these, my tune could have changed completely on who I think's got to dethrone Mercedes. But so quick recap: I have MJF being the next AEW Men's World Champion. I have Kenosha Takeshita as the next Unified Champion. Mark Briscoe as the next TNT Champion. Eddie Kingston and Hook as the next Tag Team Champions. Ricochet and the Gates of Agony as the next Trios Champion. Mercedes Moné as the next Women's World Champion. And Athena as the next TBS Champion. So we will see. But thanks for watching, everybody. Please give this video a like and a thumbs up. That really helps. Really appreciate it. And you can catch us live, like I said at the start of this video, every Sunday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We go live right here on our YouTube channel, as well as our Facebook page, which you can follow us on all social media platforms, which I say all social media platforms. I'm talking Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, at Kicking Out Pod. And our podcast is available in audio form on all major podcast platforms. And if you happen to listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please give us that 5-star rating and review. That really helps us. Till next time, I'm Tanner Lee. Have a good one, everybody.
This is where I say goodbye and good night. Bang!